Linda Reese has lived on this land for nearly 4 decades.
Lush fields, lots of grass, lots of shrubs. We actually had a nursery on the property, an orchard, very typical valley.
And all of that was fed by a well?
Yes, one single well.
But about 40 years ago, the well began failing, first for a few hours at a time, then it dried up completely. Now a water truck has arrived. When she told her daughter they'd no longer have to carry water in from outside, well...
She just started crying and crying, and she said, oh my gosh, you know, she was so just thrilled. So
can you relate to that feeling? Is that the same feeling
yes,
for you?
I almost feel like crying now.
Today she's receiving a donated storage tank and her first water delivery. The crew says the demand is endless.
Shoot, we've been doing close to 10 a week. I mean, we've been, pushing these things out as fast as we can, trying to get people water.
And when you show up, how do people react?
Oh, we've had one lady, she was crying, and, she was just so happy. She had been, I'd say, maybe not quite a quarter mile, but they were bucketing water for, just walking with water just to do their dishes and flush their toilets and things like that.
Marlise Diaz's nonprofit Self-Help, which arranged all of this, serves more than 600 households.
Our tank water program allows them to restore access in their homes so they can stay in their homes while they seek their long-term solution.
So they are literally receiving water that you physically bring to them?
Yeah, so it's 50 gallons a day per person in the home.
50 gallons a day sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it's not a lot of water. You run your washer and your 50 gallons is already gone.
In the U.S., I think we really take for granted a steady supply of water. Do you find that people are shocked to discover that that is not true for them in their lives anymore?
Yeah, I think a lot of people that grow up in, urban cities, they have no idea that people out in the country, in the Central Valley of California, live in these conditions.
An hour north of the Reese home, Mark Clay is putting in a new 600-foot well for about $28,000. He says he keeps having to drill deeper, and he's never been busier.
We're booked up for at least a year.
Wow, so if I call you today...
I'll see you next Christmas.
His job is to find the places where water from the mountains has traveled underground to the valley, but he says that water is running out.
So it's like a stair step from the hills all the way down to here, and without the snowpack every year, it's not being replenished, and the amount of farming and people in the world, we're just sucking it dry.
Right. This landscape looks inhospitable, dried out, but it's in fact what's underground that's really alarming. As these wells are drilled, the aquifers underneath are emptied out and collapse. In fact, scientists estimate that this part of California has fallen by about 30 feet since the 1930s. That means that where I'm standing 100 years ago would have been 30 feet underground.
Most of the state is not in nearly as dire condition as that. But it's going to become more dire for pretty much everybody if next year is as dry as this year has been.
Reese says she's given up any hope of replanting the orchard or anything else.
I mean, we're thinking about at least buying property elsewhere in case we have to pull up roots, which are pretty deep here. Most of my children live in this area, and I mean, we go way down, way deep.
It's interesting you talk about the depth of these roots, but also a falling water table. It turns out those two things...
They're not very compatible. And I'm hearing from a lot of people that we know, that are feeling the same pressure. Like, well, what do we really do? At what point do you just say, well, there's somewhere better probably?
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.